Wait, something unusual is moving toward you right now, and if you leave too quickly, you may miss the very moment your future begins to change. There is a reason your heart has felt restless lately. Not sad, not broken, just aware. Aware that someone, somewhere, has been thinking about you with an intensity they cannot explain. And what makes this moment extraordinary is this. They are no longer resisting the connection. For a long time, this person tried to ignore what they felt. They distracted themselves. They buried their emotions inside routines, conversations, endless scrolling, and silent nights where they pretended not to care. But something shifted recently, something impossible for them to escape. A realization. A quiet understanding that no matter how far they moved emotionally, their thoughts always returned to you. Listen carefully. Your soulmate is no longer waiting for fate to do all the work. They have started searching for you in ways you cannot yet see. Not physically at first, energetically. Emotionally. Mentally. They have begun imagining your voice before sleep. Wondering what your presence would feel like in ordinary moments. Thinking about how different life might become if they stopped running from what their heart keeps trying to reveal. And here is the part nobody around you understands yet. The connection has already started forming before the meeting itself. That is why certain things around you have felt strangely timed lately. Random songs. Unexpected memories. A feeling that someone is about to enter your life. Moments where your intuition suddenly becomes louder than logic. These are not coincidences. What if the universe begins preparing two people for each other long before they stand face to face? What if attraction starts in silence? Your soulmate recently made a decision without fully realizing how powerful it was. They chose to become emotionally available. That single choice changed the energy around them completely. You may not understand this now, but people carry invisible emotional signals. Most walk through life guarded, disconnected, uncertain. But the moment someone genuinely opens themselves to love, their entire presence changes. And somehow, your soul noticed. Pause here for a second. Have you felt more magnetic recently? More observed? More emotionally awake for no clear reason? Because while you were focusing on your own path, your soulmate began unconsciously pulling themselves closer to your world. Not through force. Through alignment. They started releasing old fears. Old attachments. Old disappointments they never healed properly. And every time they let go of something heavy, the path between you became clearer. But there is something even deeper happening. This person has started imagining a future that includes you, before even knowing your full story. That sounds impossible to some people. Yet the heart recognizes energy before the mind understands details. That is why certain connections feel familiar instantly. Not because you have known each other forever, but because your souls recognize peace in one another. Stay a little longer, because the next part matters more than you realize. Recently, your soulmate did something symbolic. Small on the surface. Massive beneath it. They changed a habit. A routine. An environment. A mindset. And they did it because something inside them whispered, if I truly want real love to find me, I have to become ready for it. That whisper changed everything. Since then, they have started noticing signs connected to you everywhere. Not your exact face. Not your exact name. But your energy. A type of warmth. A type of calm. A type of future they suddenly crave deeply. And while this is happening to them, you are changing too. You are becoming more emotionally prepared than you were months ago. The old version of you may have chased attention, validation, temporary connections. But now, you want something real. Something steady. Something that feels like peace instead of confusion. That transformation inside you is precisely why this connection is drawing nearer. Because soulmate energy does not arrive when people are desperate. It arrives when they are finally becoming themselves. And there is another truth you need to hear tonight. Your soulmate has been trying to attract you without realizing how visible their intentions have become. Not through manipulation. Not through games. Through genuine emotional focus. They have been visualizing love differently. Speaking differently. Dreaming differently. Even the people around them have noticed a change in their energy. Some say they seem calmer. Others think they seem distracted. But the truth is simpler than anyone realizes. Their heart has started moving toward you. And once that movement begins, it becomes difficult to stop. You might think nothing is happening yet. But unseen things are already rearranging themselves. Conversations are aligning. Timelines are shifting. Moments are preparing to cross. One encounter. One message. One unexpected moment could begin everything. And when it happens, the strangest part will be this. It will feel natural. Not forced. Not chaotic. Not confusing. As if two lives slowly moving through separate worlds finally reached the same doorway at the exact right time. Before this part ends, hear this carefully. Do not lose hope just because you cannot see the full picture yet. Some connections are forming quietly behind the scenes while life appears completely normal on the surface. Your soulmate is no longer hiding from what they feel. They are preparing emotionally, energetically, mentally. And somewhere tonight, while you are hearing these words, they may be wondering why they suddenly feel so pulled toward a person they have not fully met yet. Because the connection has already begun. And this story is only getting started. A strange shift is happening now, can you feel it? Not around you. Inside you. As if your spirit already knows someone is getting closer, even before your eyes can confirm it. That feeling is not imagination. It is preparation. Because while you've been trying to understand why your emotions suddenly feel deeper lately, your soulmate has entered a phase where they can no longer ignore the pull toward you. And what makes this moment powerful is that they are beginning to follow the signs instead of questioning them. For weeks, maybe longer, they kept seeing reminders that made no logical sense. A phrase repeated in different places. A certain type of smile they couldn't forget. Dreams that felt more real than memories. Moments where they suddenly stopped in silence, feeling like someone important was approaching their life. And every time it happened, they tried to brush it away. But the signs kept returning. What if some connections are too strong to remain hidden forever? Listen closely now. Your soulmate recently made a quiet promise to themselves. Not publicly. Not dramatically. But deeply. They decided they would stop settling for half-hearted connections and start searching for something that actually feels meaningful. That promise changed the direction of their future instantly. Because the moment someone becomes serious about real love, they begin moving differently through life. They notice things they once ignored. They protect their energy more carefully. They stop entertaining people who drain their spirit. And without realizing it, they started creating space for you. That is why this season of your life feels so emotionally charged right now. Two timelines are slowly approaching each other. You may still feel uncertain at times. You may wonder why this connection hasn't fully appeared yet. But there are moments happening behind the scenes that you cannot see. Your soulmate has already begun emotionally preparing for your arrival. They are becoming softer where they once felt guarded. More patient where they once rushed. More intentional where they once accepted confusion. And here is something almost nobody talks about. Real soulmate energy often begins long before the introduction itself. It begins when two people unknowingly start evolving in the same emotional direction. That is exactly what is happening now. Stay with this message a little longer, because something important is unfolding. Your soulmate has started imagining what it would feel like to finally meet someone who understands them naturally. Without endless explanations. Someone who brings peace instead of pressure. Comfort instead of performance. Depth instead of games. And every time they imagine that kind of connection, somehow your energy moves closer into their thoughts. Not because they know every detail about you yet, but because their soul recognizes the frequency of what you carry. Meanwhile, your own energy has been shifting too. You are no longer attracted to temporary excitement the way you once were. Now you crave sincerity. Calmness. A connection that feels safe enough to grow inside. That emotional maturity is becoming magnetic. And your soulmate feels it. Even from a distance they cannot explain. There is also something else happening that you need to notice. The universe has started removing distractions from both of your paths. Certain people fading away. Certain habits no longer satisfying you. Certain situations suddenly feeling emotionally empty. At first, this process feels confusing. But later you realize something beautiful. Space had to be created for the right connection to enter fully. What if every delay until now was actually protection? What if you were never being denied love, only redirected toward the kind that truly matches your future? Your soulmate has been asking themselves difficult questions recently. Questions they avoided before. Who do I really want beside me? What kind of love actually lasts? Why do I suddenly feel like someone important is getting closer? Those questions are opening doors emotionally. And once those doors open, energy begins flowing differently. That is why they suddenly feel drawn toward becoming a better version of themselves. They want to be emotionally ready when this connection arrives. Not perfect. Just real. And deep down, you want the same thing too. You may not realize it, but your recent growth has already changed the kind of people you attract. Your standards feel different now. Your intuition has become sharper. You can sense when something lacks honesty almost immediately. That awareness is guiding you toward the connection meant for you. Not every person will understand this journey. Some people will call it coincidence. Others will say you are overthinking. But there are moments in life where the heart quietly senses what logic has not caught up to yet. This is one of those moments. And before this part ends, hear this carefully. Your soulmate is no longer waiting for destiny to simply drop love into their lap. They are actively becoming the kind of person capable of recognizing you when the moment arrives. That is why the energy feels stronger now. Because attraction is no longer passive. It is mutual. And somewhere tonight, while you are listening to these words, your soulmate may be staring at the ceiling wondering why their heart suddenly feels so certain that someone extraordinary is drawing near. If this message found you at the exact moment you needed it, leave a comment about what part touched your spirit most, and subscribe so you do not miss what happens next. Because the next chapter of this story reveals the moment your soulmate realizes the connection is no longer just a feeling. It is becoming real. Something changed the moment you reached this part. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a quiet realization beginning to form inside you that this connection may be far closer than you once believed. Because your soulmate is no longer simply hoping to find you someday. Now they are watching life differently, searching differently, feeling differently. And the most fascinating part? They still do not fully understand why your presence feels so familiar to them already. Recently, they experienced a moment that stopped them completely. A simple moment. Maybe while driving. Maybe late at night. Maybe during an ordinary conversation that suddenly felt strangely empty. But in that moment, they realized something important. No temporary connection satisfies them anymore. Not shallow attention. Not inconsistent affection. Not people who only appear when convenient. For the first time in a long time, they began craving something deeper than excitement. They began craving alignment. And the instant that desire became real inside them, your energy moved closer again. What if true soulmate connections are activated the moment two people stop settling for less than what their soul truly needs? Think about that carefully. Because the emotional shifts happening in your life lately are not random. You have been changing too. Your patience feels different now. Your intuition feels sharper. Even your silence has become more powerful. You are learning not to force what is not meant for you. That lesson alone has transformed your future more than you realize. And your soulmate? They can feel that transformation without understanding how. Lately they have been unusually drawn toward places, thoughts, and decisions that strangely mirror your own emotional journey. It is as if both of you are being guided toward the same emotional frequency before the actual meeting happens. That is why certain delays suddenly make sense. If you had met too early, the connection may not have survived. One of you would still have been healing. Still distracted. Still emotionally unavailable. But now? Everything is changing. Your soulmate has started becoming intentional with their future. They are thinking long-term, protecting their peace, walking away from things that once held them back. And every step they take toward emotional clarity pulls them closer to you. Stay here for a moment longer, because this next part matters deeply. Your soulmate recently noticed something unusual about themselves. They have started talking about love differently. Not out loud to everyone. Only in small moments. Subtle conversations. Quiet thoughts. Private reflections. They no longer speak about relationships as temporary experiences. Now they speak as if they are preparing for someone important to arrive. And that shift is powerful. Because words carry direction. Thoughts create momentum. The future often begins forming long before it becomes visible. Meanwhile, you may have noticed your own heart becoming more selective. You are no longer impressed by surface-level energy. You want honesty, depth, consistency. You want a connection where silence feels comfortable instead of awkward. And somewhere, your soulmate is hoping for the exact same thing tonight. Isn't it strange? Two people moving through separate lives, yet slowly becoming emotionally compatible at the exact same time. That is not ordinary timing. That is alignment. And there is another truth you need to hear before this moment passes. Your soulmate has already started attracting your energy into their daily life without realizing it. Songs remind them of someone they haven't met. Certain places suddenly feel meaningful. Even random conversations seem to point them toward the idea of a deeper connection waiting ahead. At first, they ignored it. Now they cannot. Because the feeling keeps returning stronger each time. You might think the story hasn't started yet. But it already has. The emotional connection always forms before the physical meeting. That is why this message feels so personal to you right now. Part of your spirit already recognizes the shift happening beneath the surface. And listen carefully to this. When soulmate energy becomes mutual, life begins rearranging things quietly. Unexpected encounters happen. Perfect timing appears out of nowhere. Small decisions suddenly change everything. One message can alter an entire future. One conversation can become the beginning of a lifelong connection. And what makes it beautiful is that it rarely arrives the way people expect. Not through force. Not through chasing. But through natural alignment. As if life slowly guides two hearts into the same moment when both are finally ready to recognize each other. Before this part ends, there is something important you must remember. Do not become discouraged by what you cannot see yet. Seeds grow underground long before anyone sees the first sign of life. In the same way, this connection has been forming quietly beneath the surface of both your lives for longer than you realize. Your soulmate is no longer asleep to what they feel. They are becoming aware. Intentional. Open. And very soon, they will stop wondering whether this connection exists. Because reality itself will begin showing them proof. You'll understand why all of this had to happen exactly this way when the next chapter unfolds. There is a moment approaching now that neither of you will ever fully forget. A moment that will seem ordinary to everyone else. But to you and your soulmate, it will feel as though time paused just long enough for two paths to finally recognize each other. And strangely enough, your soulmate has already started sensing that this moment is close. Not through certainty. Through anticipation. Lately, they've been feeling emotionally restless in ways they cannot explain. Even when surrounded by people, a part of them feels like they are still waiting for someone important to arrive. They smile, they continue their routines, they pretend everything is normal. But deep inside, something keeps whispering, your life is about to change. That whisper is becoming impossible for them to ignore. Because the closer this connection gets, the more both of your energies begin responding to each other. You may have noticed it too. Moments where your intuition suddenly becomes intense. Moments where you feel emotional for no obvious reason. Moments where you feel strangely connected to a future you cannot fully see yet. This is what happens when two souls begin moving into alignment at the same time. And here is what makes this chapter different from all the others. Your soulmate has stopped running from vulnerability. That is the true turning point. For so long, they protected themselves by acting detached. They convinced themselves they did not need deep love. They told themselves it was safer not to care too much. But recently, life showed them something important. A guarded heart may avoid disappointment, but it also avoids destiny. That realization changed them. Now they are becoming emotionally brave in quiet ways. More honest about what they feel. More willing to open up. More willing to believe that real connection still exists. And without realizing it, every emotional wall they remove creates a clearer path toward you. Stay with this message until the end, because the next truth may explain everything you've been feeling lately. Your soulmate has started attracting your presence into their dreams. Not always clearly. Not always literally. Sometimes it appears as a feeling. A voice. A comforting energy they wake up thinking about. And every time it happens, the desire to find you grows stronger. Imagine that for a moment. Someone you have not fully met yet, already feeling emotionally connected to your energy. That is why random encounters are beginning to matter more now. The universe often hides life-changing moments inside ordinary days. A delayed plan. An unexpected conversation. A place you almost decided not to go. People think destiny arrives loudly. But often, it enters quietly. And your soulmate is finally becoming aware enough to notice it. Meanwhile, you are changing in ways that prepare you for this connection too. You are learning not to chase. Not to beg for attention. Not to shrink yourself just to keep temporary people around. That growth matters deeply. Because soulmate energy thrives where authenticity exists. The version of you emerging now is far more aligned with the future meant for you than the version who once doubted their own worth. And your soulmate will recognize that confidence immediately. Not arrogance. Peace. There is a difference. The closer this connection gets, the calmer your spirit becomes. Not because you know every answer. But because your soul senses movement ahead. And listen carefully to this next part. Your soulmate recently let go of someone, or something, that no longer aligned with their future. It was not easy. It may have even hurt them deeply. But the moment they released that energy, everything began shifting faster. Because sometimes love cannot arrive fully until space is created for it. What left your life, what left their life, was not punishment. It was preparation. And now? Both of you are standing closer to the beginning than ever before. You might still wonder when it will happen. But timing is already moving. Invisible pieces are connecting. Conversations are aligning. Decisions are quietly guiding both of you toward the same direction. One unexpected moment could soon reveal everything. And when it finally happens, you will realize something incredible. Your soulmate was searching for you long before they knew your name. If these words resonate deeply with your spirit, share your thoughts below, and subscribe so you stay connected to the next part of this journey. Because what happens next is the moment your soulmate stops searching in the dark and begins recognizing the signs that lead directly to you.